You are listening to a free version of the Majority Report with Sam Seder. To support this show and get another 15 minutes of daily program, go to majority.fm, please.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
It is Tuesday, February 2nd, 2021. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Joe Biden meets with the Republican Go Small on COVID Relief Caucus as Democrats begin reconciliation to go big. Meanwhile, what has to happen for Democrats to help the American people through a very sticky reconciliation process? And with 6 days until impeachment, more of Trump's plotting revealed. And one more very obvious reason why a bunch of his lawyers quit the team. AOC recounts the chilling experience she had during the Republican storming of the Capitol. Democrats get serious about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Chuck Schumer, Ron Wyden, and Cory Booker announced legislation to legalize cannabis on a federal level. Joe Biden to release Puerto Rican Hurricane Maria aid. And there's a growing consensus to delay the second dose of vaccinations to get more people dose number 1. We'll go over the good, the bad, and the ugly of Biden's first couple of weeks. And a federal judge vacates a late Trump-era rule preventing the EPA from using science. All this and more on today's program. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today. Of course, with me, as always, Emma Vigeland. Hello, Emma. How are you today?
Hello, Sam. I'm doing well. Snow seems to have kind of tapered off at this point, so I was able to walk to work without insane wind face. You know, when your face gets all dry and red.
No, I'm familiar with wind face, definitely, of course.
Yeah, that's what I call it. It's definitely not called wind face, but that could be the name of my superhero.
18 inches in New York. This is, I think, one of the biggest snowfalls we've had in about 5 years in New York City.
And you say you believe in climate change.
I am surprised we haven't heard more about that right now. I think we probably would have were it not for everything else that is going on. But yes, that has been an ongoing, every time it snows, climate change isn't real because Republicans, apparently conservatives, are determined to confuse the weather in any given week versus climate. But
Senator Inhofe, there's still time.
Exactly. I imagine there'll be like a 35-minute report on Sean Hannity's program tonight regarding that. All right, well, let's get right into this. There's a lot of stuff happening right now. I want to start with this clip of Katie Porter. One of the things that happened last night, AOC did about, I don't know, like a 70-minute Instagram video retelling her experience during the storming of the Capitol and also contextualizing it as to why it was so traumatizing, particularly for her. But I think broadly speaking, it was traumatizing for a lot of people. Let's play this clip of Katie Porter. We will play the clip from AOC's video later in the program. But I just want to start with this so you get a sense of this. And, you know, this it is very easy, I think. Well, it shouldn't be. It seems to be too easy. But it's very easy for people to simply write off any of these type of experiences that elected politicians would have, because they perceive them as as people devoid of normal human emotion. And it is definitely true if you run for office or really pursue any type of celebrity or public face, you are essentially signing up for a certain amount of public abuse. I mean, I don't care if you do a show like ours. Obviously, it gets much greater. The higher profile you are, we're not subjected to that same level of it. Maybe like a low level, but not necessarily. But there is a limit in which one could expect. There's nobody who signs up for to be a politician who I imagine on some level or another doesn't expect that at one point they're going to get death threats and whatnot. Sometimes that comes with the territory. There's a lot of crazy people out there, and I'm saying that colloquially. But at the very least, you have an expectation that, when I'm in the Congress, there's a reason why there's a bunch of Capitol Police. There's going to be some measure of protection. You got to remember, someone like AOC, I think they make $180,000 a year now as a congressperson. It's not like she can afford to have a fleet of security guards like you might with a celebrity. And
you might argue that of members of Congress or any senators, she is at more risk than anybody based on the nature of her and Ilhan Omar, based on the extreme nature of Republican and right-wing attitudes towards them that are based in racism and sexism and intense emotions that I think are even darker than a lot of people give them credit for.
Without a doubt. I mean, AOC, I think, still has higher name recognition amongst conservatives than she does amongst Democrats and liberals. And, or for that matter, maybe, I don't know, DSA folks, maybe a higher name recognition, but broadly speaking across the American public. And there's a reason for that. It's not because she is being celebrated on conservative news. She is being derided and degraded and attacked relentlessly. And the idea that anybody would deny that perspective and that experience is pretty shocking to me. I mean, we'll talk more about AOC later in the program, but listen to this story by Katie Porter, who apparently AOC at one point barricaded herself with Katie Porter in Katie Porter's office by pushing a couch in front of the door. I mean, this is the nature of what was going on there. And we know that through reporting that Mike Pence seconds away from being caught by some of those people who were saying hang him, that other members of the Senate and the House were seconds away from being caught. Some of it was just dumb luck. Some of it was a Capitol Police officer sort of leading the attackers away from those areas where he knew there were lawmakers.
Yeah, we saw what they did to cops. Imagine what they would do to a staffer that got somehow in between them and, anyone else. Without a doubt. And let's be clear. That officer who fired and killed that woman who was jumping through and smashing a door and was trying to jump through that door, if he had not fired on her, and it's an incredibly unfortunate situation, but if he had not fired on her and she jumps through that door, the idea that the rest of those people wouldn't have followed her through that door, I think, is wishful thinking. I mean, this would have been, this was very, very close. And it probably, without that shooting, who knows who would have died on the other side of that door. Here is Katie Porter retelling at least part of her experience last night with Lawrence O'Donnell on MSNBC.
Did you know just how deep Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez's fears were at that time?
Well, at first she saw me, and we waved. I went into my office, and a couple seconds later she knocked, and she said, could we come in? And I said, of course. And she began to, her staffer was trying to describe what had happened. And Alex is really usually like unfailingly polite and very personable. And she wasn't even really talking to me. She was opening up doors. And I was like, can I help you? Like, what are you looking for? And she said, I'm looking for where I'm going to hide. And the thing that will always stay with me, the two memories that really, especially as a mom, I think were just really powerful for me was when she said, I was saying, well, don't worry. I'm a mom. I'm calm. I've got everything here we need. We could live for like a month in this office. And she said, I just hope I get to be a mom. I hope I don't die today. And the second thing is she was wearing heels. And I remember her saying to me, I was wearing flats. And I remember her saying to me, I knew I shouldn't have worn heels. How am I going to run? And we went and we found her a pair of sneakers to wear from one of my staffers so that she could run if she needed to literally run for her life.
How long did the fear of losing life hold?
I mean, I find that to be one of the most moving clips about the insurrection that I've seen. That, as a woman who wants to one day have children, that would have been one of my first thoughts. And it really humanizes these politicians, especially the ones like Katie Porter and Ocasio-Cortez, who are not there to enrich themselves, who aren't there for the short term to cash in later and go to work for some lobbying firm. They're there, especially Ocasio-Cortez, with immense bravery, putting up, going through the risks that they endure on a daily basis that are often very sexual in nature, coming from the right wing, violently sexual, and racist in terms of Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Islamophobic, enduring that. It's very moving to me, and the trauma should not ever, ever be discounted or underplayed.
Yeah. And people also, I mean, aside from just the sheer terror that existed in that moment, which I think would have affected anyone, you also have to remember that this is within a context where she was getting text messages. Watch out on January 6th. She's gotten obviously years worth of death threats. I mean, it is just the idea that she's been able to maintain her composure about this for a couple of weeks, frankly, is far more than I would expect of myself under similar circumstances. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will start talking about what's happening with this COVID relief. There's a lot of sort of ins and outs with reconciliation that you should be aware of. People want to know why this is such a complicated process. And we will try and work our way through some of those weeds. We'll be right back in just a moment. In the meantime, I'm drinking some of this right now. And we have a new convert to the liquid IV.
Oh my God, I am obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with it.
Well, as you know, I think Emma's a fan of their popular hydration mix. Well, for me, it has been, since I first tried it, Liquid IV's Energy Multiplier. It is a game changer. It both hydrates you and it gives you an extra boost we all need. I don't have my green.
I have the box right here. I used it yesterday, not today.
That's not the Energy Multiplier. Okay. The Energy Multiplier is the one that's in the envelope on the on that metal thing on the side there.
Okay.
One stick is like drinking 2 cups of coffee, and it's an all-natural alternative to processed energy drinks for sustained energy boost throughout the day. For me, I go through, I've got some right here in my cup. I don't know where my my big bottle is, but for me, it's basically during the course of the show. I mean, I'll drink a little bit during the before the show, but for me, it gets me through the show, catapults me all the way till I get home, deal with the kids, and then I'm exhausted. Energy Multiplier is a healthier alternative to traditional energy drinks and coffee. There's no artificial